Welcome back to the Business Nostalgia Podcast. This is where we sit down with entrepreneurs and hear their stories as they walk us down memory lane and exactly how they're crushing it in their industry. Hey guys, welcome back to the Memory Lane Podcast. In today's spotlight session, we got Brandon Collins, who is in the industry doing some really cool development stuff with AI and different things. He's had a business before that was generating $500K a month plus in revenue, and now he's switched his focus to doing this. So today we're going to hear a little bit about his story and that grind that he's on to hit that multi-seven-figure mark. Brandon, welcome to the show. It's glad to have you.
Thanks, Marv. Really appreciate you having me on here. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I guess let's dive right into it. Do you want me to kind of talk about my past and how I got to where I am today, or do you got something else that you want to go into?
Yeah, let's let them get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about, who you are, kind of where you came from, how you ended up, running a development AI company.
For sure. So I got my start in my adult life as a soldier in the Army. I served for 8 years. I had one tour in Afghanistan. After I came back from Afghanistan, I did about another year in the military and decided to get out and go the route of the entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, I ended up stumbling into the mobile IV wellness industry, and I took that and ran with it. I surrounded myself with a lot of good people, and ultimately turned that into the largest mobile IV therapy business in the country at its time. And then shortly afterward, we sold the business, and I went into software development. Software development was kind of an interest of mine. It's been an interest of mine for a long time, and it just seemed like the right thing to do once I had gotten out of the wellness industry and had some more free time on my hands. So software development led to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity led to AI, and that has led me into basically becoming an AI consultant and working on and developing a lot of different AI projects and products.
Nice. In this day and age, AI is thrown out quite a lot. I feel like I see a new AI company spinning up every week. What are some of your thoughts on AI and what drove you guys to, run that path, like while you're developing? Was it because AI helped make the jobs more efficient? Was it for client communication? What are some of the ways you guys are using AI?
Yeah, so I decided to dive into the AI industry because I noticed there was a lot of things that we could do with it that at the time of, when I had owned my last business, I said, you know what, like I wish there was something that could do this. And now with AI, there is stuff that can do that. So naturally, as I started getting into developing AI and working with AI, my entrepreneur brain really kind of kicked in, and it was like, hey, you know what? Like I didn't have this when I was business owner of my last business, but I can definitely help create it and offer it to other business owners. So how I use it, I have a couple of different projects and products that I work on, services that I provide as an AI consultant. Everything from conversational AI chatbots on your website to conversational AI SMS and email marketing, even AI that connects to your personal Facebook profile to do organic outreach from your personal Facebook profile. So there's lots of different ways that I use it. And I use it primarily for the marketing aspect to get in front of more people, as well as to kind of I guess streamline operations to make it easier for customer support.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing in AI? Like what kind of jobs is it like replacing or enhancing?
I would say that there's a cool, I guess, meme or saying that's going around, and people are like, oh, AI is going to replace you, and it's like, no, AI is not going to replace you. The person who is learning how to use AI is going to replace you, because I'm seeing it just in the content creation realm. That used to be a pretty stable type of job and industry to be in, content creation. Well, now with AI, is if you take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours to really learn how to create content with AI, you can far surpass the amount of content that any normal content creator who's not using AI can do. And with some of the newer models that are out there, you can create content that would normally cost a business a few $1,000s to do. You can create it in a couple minutes for just a 10, 20, $30 worth of API credits.
And so is that typically where your development company like lies is helping people create those marketing engines that's gonna drive lead acquisition and sales. Is that your primary use for it?
Yeah, my primary use for AI is in the conversational AI marketing. So what we typically do, at least on our most popular product, which is the Facebook AI, what we typically do is we'll create an AI that connects to your profile, and it's been trained on your brand voice, it's been trained on your voice, it's been trained on your company, all the FAQs and other data that you have for your company. And then it goes out and it does outreach, and it can target people in any group that you want, any post, any reel, pretty much anywhere where you can find where profiles are listed on Facebook. It can target them and reach out to them, and it does it in such a way to where it sounds like a human is doing it. And when they respond, it's connected to ChatGPT. That message that they send to you goes to ChatGPT. ChatGPT uses all of its training data as well as its own knowledge base and responds to them accordingly. So I know for me, and a lot of the clients that I work with, we got this thing running on low right now, and it's still booking anywhere from 1 to 3 calls from me per day.
As somebody that's also in the development space and helps people with this problem, that is one that needs solved a lot, right? Like there's a lot of business owners out there who they know what they need to be doing, but life or whatever else gets in their way or whatever fucking excuse they can come up with, and they're not doing those little things that are actually going to move the needle in the business, which is prospecting and getting as many people on their calendar as possible, right? I can't tell you how many business owners I've talked to when they're like, "Yeah, I haven't made any sales this month." I'm like, "Well, how many people have you talked to? How many calls have you booked?" Well, none. Well,
Yeah,
that's a problem, right? Like you
yeah,
make
yeah,
more sales if you talk to more people, right? So
exactly.
are you guys seeing any limitations with this outreach or with this
Yes,
tool? What are some of the limitations
yes.
you guys are hitting?
Definitely. So there's a couple just to name right off the bat, and I'll focus more on the Facebook AI since that does is kind of the hot one right now. The biggest limitation is the amount of messages that you can send per day. Facebook is all about consistency, and it hates automation tools, and it hates any kind of spammy type of thing. So we've actually coded this AI to where it you started out low. You started out sending anywhere from 7 to 9 DMs a day, and then every 2 days it's going to bracket up by two message. So first 2 days will be 7 to 9 messages. The next 2 days will be 9 to 11. The next 2 days 11 to 13. It just keeps going up like that. If you go right out the gate and you say, "Hey, I want this thing to send 30 or 40 DMs," your account's going to get locked immediately by Facebook because they're going to be like, "Wait, you're not usually sending out 30 to 40 DMs per day. This is entirely new for you. You're obviously spamming people, or you're using some sort of automation tool that we don't approve of." So yeah, the number of messages that can go out per day to new people is definitely a pain point for us, but that's why we built it in so that it does it gradually and consistently, to where Facebook it doesn't trip any of Facebook's spammy flag sensors. My personal profile is sending out 50 DMs a day right now.
Yeah, that's typically the pain point that I have to walk a lot of people through when they're implementing automation and new tools is like, hey, this algorithm is smart and you're not going to be able to outsmart the algorithm, right? It sees your patterns. It knows if it's been a dead profile for 5 years and then all of a sudden you're sending 50 DMs. They're like, did this
Yeah.
person get hacked or something? Because it is unlike this person to send 50
Mhm.
DMs. Very similar to cold email. I know you've probably seen a lot of the cold email tools that are spinning up thanks to the power of AI. And I know with a lot of the cold email tools that are spinning out, a lot of people are like, "Oh, this doesn't work, this doesn't work." And it's because they went from a cold email server, it was a fresh domain with no reputation, to I'm blasting 1,000 emails an hour to this purchase list of people that don't hear from me. And then they wonder why it doesn't
Mhm.
work. And it's really like, it's a matter of training the servers, whatever tool you're using to like, this is who I am and these are my practices. So what are some of the things that you do to like educate your end users to help them like accept that initial challenge, but still stick with it to start seeing those results on the back end?
Yeah, yeah. So we have a kind of like a do's and don'ts kind of checklist, and the biggest thing is it's going to be user error, which which gets their account flagged. And I've seen this in about 10 to 15% of the accounts that I'm working with my clients. It's like they know what they're not supposed to do, but they do it anyway. So if you're sending out, we'll just say 20 DMs from the Facebook AI that we have, and then you go and personally do another 10. Well, it wasn't 20 that went out, it was 30 that went out. And if your profile was only used to, a max of 18 and you did 20, all right, you're already in the red, but Facebook's not going to say anything about that because it's just an extra two messages. But when you go from 18 to 30, now we have a problem. So that's normally the issue is user error. But the way we mitigate that is just through constantly reaching out to them, constantly communicating with them, bringing them into our community and letting them know and keeping them aware of like the different updates of the Facebook AI, how you should be using it, and the things that you absolutely shouldn't do, which is, like I said, sending out manual DMs to people on top of whatever the AI is doing.
Yeah, like if you're gonna hire a robot to do the job, let the robot do the job and walk away from it.
Exactly.
Go
Yeah.
focus on things that are gonna actually generate more revenue for your business or things that you enjoy doing versus having to send out DMs. I always say that automation is supplementation for human interaction, not replacement. Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%. Me on specifically on Facebook, that's my primary platform. I talk a lot about how AI and this AI works. And I've got some people that will basically claim that like this is the sign of almost like the apocalypse. They say things like, "Oh my gosh, human to human interaction isn't going to happen anymore. How far have we fallen?" And I have two arguments to that. And my first argument is one, I don't ever talk to somebody when I buy something off Amazon, for one. I also don't talk to anybody when I go to Walmart anymore because there's some people that are vehemently against self-checkout. I freaking love self-checkout. I don't like talking to anybody when I go to Walmart. But on my other argument is this is giving me more opportunity to create more human interaction. The more people my AI reaches out to, the more people that it books a conversation with, or books a call with me, that's more people that can have a conversation with me. That's more people that can have a human interaction with me. So I think this is 100% supplementing the human interaction. It's not replacing it at all.
Exactly. Like it gives you more chance at bat, right? Like the average person to send the proper volume, right? Because ideally you do get up to 30 to 50 messages a day. I talk to hundreds of entrepreneurs every year, and it's always the same questions, right? Like how many people do you have to talk to make a sale? How many touch points do you have? The average amount of touch points is what, 12 to 18 touch points before you can get them to move forward with you. So do you realistically have the human physical bandwidth to make 50 to 100 interactions per day, right? And it compounds too, right? So like on Monday, if I talk to 50 new people, I got to talk to 50 new people on Tuesday. So by the time I get to Thursday, I got 150 people that I got to hit again because
Yep.
I got to hit the people that I talked to on Monday and Tuesday again on Thursday, right? And so like how do you realistically do that? Maintain the feeling of a human talking to you, but also getting the people on your calendar where you need to get people so you can make sales and scale the business. And that's where a lot of people fall off is because they're so anti AI, like fuck that, I'm always going to do the outreach. But at the same time, they're not making the bandwidth or the time to do the manual processing,
Exactly.
right? And so it's
Yeah.
like, so what are you gonna do? Go get a fucking job then, because like you might as well go get a job. You're not gonna do the things required to scale the business. So like I agree. It kind of opens that door to like, why don't you let the robot do the monotonous, tedious things you don't want to do in the first place? Robots don't need a day off. They're not gonna call in sick. They're just gonna always be working for you around the clock. And then that frees up your time to where like, well, I used to prospect from 7 to 9 a.m. Now I'm on four different sales calls from 7 to 9 a.m. and I'm closing 70% of them. So, I mean, I think that's a much
Mhm.
better logical use of time than trying to manually keep up with all these people. Right? Do you ever get
Absolutely.
that argument where they are like, no, I prefer to do my own outreach?
Yeah, quite a bit actually, quite a bit, and I'm really glad, honestly, that the AI is taking care of those conversations, because I won't, I'll admit it. I'm kind of an emotional person. Everybody has emotions, and you know, anytime you're getting
Welcome back.
welcome back. All right. I don't know what the last thing you heard was, but I'm not. Yeah, I
I,
apologize about that.
you're good. I heard you were an emotional person, and then it dropped. I'm like,
Oh
damn, you
yeah.
so emotional. You just gotta quit the Zoom call.
I was like, oh crap. No. Um, like any person, especially people in sales, right? The more you get told no, the more you get those rejections. It does, as much as it sucks, but it does take an emotional toll on. And the AI handles it instead. And it never gets sad, it never gets depressed, it never wants to take a day off of work, it never gets sick. You only have to train it one time, and every single time that it has a conversation, it gets better at doing what it does. So I guess where I was going with that is, when people are telling what they think is me, but it's actually the AI, that they would rather do the conversation themselves, that it's really easy for the AI to just be like, okay, yeah, I totally get that, I totally understand that, and then it kind of comes back with a rebuttal that says, hey, well, you can only have so much human interaction, human follow up. Do you have any type of automation in place? Because there's only so much time in the day. Would you be open to exploring those possibilities with us or with me on a call? And then once I get them on a call, it kind of opens them up a little bit more because they see my point of view on it, that AI is supplementing human interaction. It's not replacing human interaction. And then they're
Absolutely.
usually pretty and then they're usually pretty surprised when they hear that they weren't talking to me at all. They were talking to my AI.
That actually happened to me for you getting on this podcast, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
I had a gut feeling, right? Like I read a couple, I'm like, is that AI? Like you had me question it. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's AI that I'm talking to right now. And then you stepped in and it's like, yep, you were talking to my AI, but just letting you know I booked a slot. And so you always have the human failover option, but it's pretty amazing that like I'm an expert I run a development company. I've been using AI for 4 years, and even my interaction with you, even though I had a gut feeling that it was AI, I still it was so human like you couldn't really tell. I have a feeling if I didn't have the expertise that I have, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell at all. Right.
Probably
And
not.
it was
Yeah.
pretty amazing, like the human like responses of how we were having a conversation, you outreach to me, and like it just knew how to respond to even with like uh little like quick whips and things like that as a response.
Hmm.
So how
Yep.
long do you think you've been training your AI bot on your voice?
This one specifically has been training, I want to say about a month and a half. Um, yeah, because we just brought this AI software to market in the beginning of January, and I just started using it about a month and a half ago. So it's been training for about a month and a half on mine. And what's funny is, you talk about how you had kind of had a gut feeling. Myself and some of the other developers came to a revelation on one of the ways that we could program this AI, and I'm quite confident now that the new conversations going out from yesterday and every day after yesterday, they're not going to be able to know the difference at all. The way we have this thing trained. What you had seen was like, I mean, if there was 10 levels, what you had seen was like level 3, level 4. Where it is now, we're sitting at like level 8, level 9. And it's it's so crazy how we now have this thing um, analyzing every response and then actively going and thinking through different sales frameworks and different sales messaging before it makes a response. So I don't know who your favorite salesperson is, but we could program this thing to use any sales framework that you would like. So if you like Grant Cardone, if you like Jeremy Miner, if you like Alex Hormozzi's spelling style, it can be trained to go through that entire framework for every single response that it sends out. So it'll be empathetic. It will take into account everything that they say, and then it will respond accordingly. So it's going to sound the most like a human.
Yeah, and most like you as well, right? Because that's one of the kickbacks that I get from people when I tell them like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna just deploy robots to do all of this." And they're like, "Yeah, but then the robot won't sound like me anymore." I'm like, "Hey, would you find it hard pressed to believe that I haven't written my own emails in 4 years?" They're like, there's no fucking way. I'm like, yes, there is.
Yes.
AI has been
Yes.
my emails and follow up and everything for 4 years. I can't remember the last time I actually wrote something from scratch outside of
Yeah.
honestly training prompts and things like that, you know? Uh,
Hmm.
yeah,
And the more data that you have to train it on, the better it's going to be. I had one client who had like a dozen and a half podcasts, two books, and about 200 blogs that he personally had written. We loaded it all into the AI, and it sounds just like him when it responds to people.
because more data equals better responses, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, jumping from, I'm going to rewind the clock a little bit here. So you started out in the army, then you built and exited a wellness business, and then you jumped into development in AI. That was kind of a big jump to go from like soldier wellness business is almost a natural fit, right? Because a lot of soldiers they take care of their health and their physical body, and I've seen that transition a lot. What I haven't seen a lot is going from wellness business to development company. So have you always had like a natural knack or like software is what you wanted to do? Like how did you fall into wellness before you jumped immediately to software development?
It's kind of funny. The way that I fell into software development was through a um, just kind of a curiosity of of hacking because I had been pretty close with some people in the army that did cybersecurity and they not only did cybersecurity they did like offensive security, so their job was to hack the enemy. And seeing some of the stuff that they did, I was really interested in it. After I sold my business, I had some time on my hands and I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I said, you know what, let's dive down the rabbit hole of hacking. And I learned, I'm a pretty good hacker still. I haven't done any hacking on any virtual boxes for a couple months now, but I'm still confident that I got the ability to do it. But going from hacking, as I started going more down that rabbit hole, I learned that I needed to develop some of my own programs to hack. So that brought me into software development, learned how to code with Python, and then, you know, everybody's had access to ChatGPT for the longest time now. And I was like, hey, ChatGPT, I'm trying to code a program that does this, this, and this in Python, and it was able to code the entire thing for me. And I said, "Holy crap, this is a game changer." So I went from writing code from scratch to having ChatGPT write the bulk of my code, and then simply editing it to have it do what I wanted it to do. So from there, it was like, okay, well, god dang, if I can have ChatGPT help with the bulk of the dirty work for software development, maybe I should be in software development and be more of a manager than a creator of code, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like that's how we started using ChatGPT, right? Because we're doing all of these things, and I'm like, "Fuck, I really don't want to write this from scratch, And so, and ChatGPT wasn't a thing yet, but we did have OpenAI because I used to do bulk emailing. Like we send a little over 1 million emails a month, right? And so
Wow.
when OpenAI released their API, we built our own API in-house so we could basically query the Open API or the Open AI. And then so initially I was just using AI for like I need to write 100 variants of this spin text because I'm tired of writing. If I have to write another fucking subject line, you know. And so at first we were just using AI for spin text, and then I started trying it on different things. I'm like, I need a JavaScript that does this. And then it would spit it out. I'd have to modify 2 or 3 lines, but it works pretty good. And it wrote it in pretty good syntax as well, right? Because that's the other problem when you have a third party contractor. Like you never know what the syntax is going to look like when they send it back to you. Do they comment it well? Do they, like, are you just going to get a code where
Exactly.
you got to decode the code, right? And so I really appreciated that every single time I asked it for something, it was notated well, it was written in pretty good syntax, and it didn't have a lot of fluff. I'm like, man, this is like an expert level coder, like at my fingertips.
Yeah.
And so we started, like, we built the entire UI for one of our applications just from ChatGPT or OpenAI. Now I
Mhm.
interchange ChatGPT so much I forget that it was just OpenAI, but um, just using OpenAI, and now it's like a tool in the business. I couldn't imagine running the business without it, because
Yes.
and it makes it so much more efficient, because rather than me spending 10 hours writing the code, I can spend 20 minutes writing the code and then 10 hours testing, versus like I got
Exactly.
10 hours of writing and 10 hours of testing. No, I can just do the testing part and then go back to the bot, and the bot's going to spit out. I'm going to say, it did this. Can you fix this problem? And it's
Oh
like,
my
yes, I
God.
can fix this problem.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I built a scraper for Google Maps because I didn't feel like paying, whatever the latest and greatest Google Maps scraper was. So I had ChatGPT help me write a scraper. And yeah, it took probably a minute and a half for it to code a scraper with a UI and everything. And then I just, I clicked, all right, go. And then it gave me an error. And I was like, hey, GPT, it gave me this error. And I was like, oh, okay, let me fix that for you. Did the whole thing again. It gave me another error. Let me fix that for you. And I went back and forth for maybe 30 minutes. And I now had a scraper that I could use all on my own for free on Google Maps, as much as I wanted to with no limitations, and pretty much unlimited customability. And if I really wanted to, I could probably have coded the UI and like a paywall interface so that people could actually pay me for that Google scraper, if I wanted to go that route. But it's insane that how fast we're able to spin up these tools using AI, if you're even just a little bit educated in software development.
Yeah, I think this goes back to your point that you made earlier about, like, hey, I don't think it's necessarily replacing people. Like, it will replace some people, but I think the only people it's going to be replacing are those that are unwilling to learn, right? Like, every time somebody brings it up to me, I'm like, I just call that job security, right? Because, like, they're always going to need a guy like me to build the infrastructure, right? Like, it was built by humans. That means it needs to be maintained by humans, right?
Exactly.
Unless, 100 years from now, who fucking knows? Maybe AI will get so smart it can reproduce itself. I don't know. But, this
We'll
is what we're
see.
at now. But
Yeah,
because what I'm seeing is, like, it's just making my developers more efficient, right? It's helping them not do the things that they don't want to do in the first place. And the people I've seen it leave behind are the ones that are like, no, I don't want to use that. I don't want to empower the machine. And I'm like, well, all these millions of other people are empowering the machine. So you can sit over there, right? You get the what is the age old comment. Well, this is how I've been doing it for 20 years, and if it ain't broken, don't fix it. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't change something, you ain't gonna be here in 20 years, right?
exactly, man, exactly. And the way that it's able to, I guess, I call it leverage. The way that you can leverage your time with AI. Um, I think Sam Altman said it first. I saw it on a meme, so don't quote me. But Sam Altman, I believe, said that I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see the first billionaire of a company that only has one employee, which is the owner itself. And it's going to be because of AI. AI is going to be doing everything for this company that is now raking in $1 billion in revenue. And I believe it. I run my entire business pretty much by myself. I have one or two partners that I might outsource some stuff to, but I definitely don't have any employees. I don't have any ongoing expenses other than API costs and maybe a couple other platforms that I'm using. But I mean, really, I'm a one man show, and it's because of AI.
There's AI's taken a what would be a 180-hour work week spread across multiple people and making it a 30-hour work week by one person, right?
One person. Yep. Yep.
That
Absolutely.
that time savings, is kind of corny, um, but catchy at the same time. I tell people like, hey, I sell you the one thing you can't buy, which is time, right? And this is how we do it. We sell time with robots, and it's hard for people to fathom. But like we gave a for example, we had a sales team who was tracking all their leads the old-fashioned way, right? Spreadsheets, post-it notes, like trying to figure out who should I call and reach out to today. We plugged all of that into a bot with like a project management tracker, a lead tracker. Well, now instead of, I think they were spending like probably 4 or 5 hours a day. Each person on the sales team was spending 4 or 5 hours a day fucking with the spreadsheet. And
Wow.
so like we gave every single person on the team 20 plus hours per week back, and they quadrupled revenue in less than 30 days. And it was just
Ooh.
because we handed a chunk of their job. The one single thing that their job was doing, we handed that to robots. And it's just like, I can't tell you what the ROI is. What's the ROI on getting an extra 20 hours back? All I can tell you is you're going to get 20 hours back from doing this, right? And then they end up like you get some people that are like, bro, I just enjoy having an extra 20 hours. I call it a day at noon and fucking watch Netflix the rest of the day. You have other people are like, I got 4 more hours to hustle. You're like, go get it. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love it. I love it. Kind of a different industry here, but my brother is he's a behavioral health therapist, and he spends about an hour to an hour and a half after every client doing his notes for, I guess, submitting to insurance and getting paid by insurance for his clients or for his patients, I guess. And using AI, everything's obviously HIPAA compliant, so and he's not giving out any personal information. But using AI, he's able to create the notes that he needs to submit to insurance within 5 minutes instead of an hour to an hour and a half after every client. So now he can service 3 times as many people because of AI. So again, going back to the supplementing human relationship, my brother can now see 12 people a day instead of four because he's able to use AI to do the bulk of it. And obviously he's looking over the notes and everything to make sure they're accurate. But I mean, you get the point. Like he's able to make a huge difference in these people's lives and a lot more people's lives because of AI.
It just increases your impact, right? Which is like you talk to your average online coach or online business, and they're like, I'm doing this because I want to change more lives, but yet you're holding back from using technology that's going to give you the ability to impact more people, right? Just note taking, for example, that's a perfect example of something a lot of people waste their time on, including myself and my own team prior to this Fathom robot that we have in here, right? Like prior to Fathom, I literally had a EA that was on staff, and their only job was to listen to my Zoom calls, take notes, and tell me what we were supposed to do on from that call. Now with
Oh man.
AI, it records it. I can say bookmark this, this needs review, blah blah, send this to this person, it summarizes it, transcript, recording, and you can send that shit to the client so the client can see it too. So it's just like, and it does
Oh
all of it
man.
within seconds. And so
Yes, yes.
now that is
I'll
one
have to
job that was replaced, but you know.
I'll have to connect you with a buddy of mine. He takes it a step further. He has a Zap or an API from Fathom going into like a couple other AI assistants to where it automatically sends out a follow up sales email to the people that he gets on a call with, and it's all automated. He doesn't have to do with any of it. It'll go through. I mean, you've seen the Fathom thing. It tells you like what your action items are. It'll tell you a couple, the couple other things. And the sales email, I got it from him, and it was more of a networking call. It wasn't a sales call, but I got it from him, and I was like, dude, this was an amazing email, and it summarized everything almost perfectly. And he was like, yeah, that was my AI that I have in place. It's normally for sales calls. It sends a follow-up sales email after every single one of his phone calls. So I might need to connect you with him because it sounds
Yeah.
like you do a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, I do a lot of phone calls. Like that's the one job I haven't been able to replace my business yet.
Really? Yeah, the
The sales
sales.
calls. Yeah. But we'll get there. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
where do you see the future, right? Like what are some of your ambitions and goals? Where are you trying to take this?
Um, well, I've been making a few strategic partnerships. I've got a couple dozen clients right now. It pays the bills. It's not where I want to be, but we're getting there. And I think for the future, what I'm seeing is, I guess, a couple hundred clients. And then as far as, the impact that I'd like to make, I'd like to almost be a kind of a resource or a teacher or some type of consultant for people to leverage this type of AI at scale. Because some of the other things that the developers and I are working on, can take this exact type of system and integrate it at scale, not just on one profile, but on dozens and dozens of profiles. And the whole thing would be built out so that overnight you can have a sales force of 10, 20, 30 people all contacting people about your product, your service, whatever your business is doing, and booking calls or driving traffic to a website or whatever. So I do see it scaling. Here in the next year or so, I do see us breaking that 100 clients barrier. In the next 5 years, I don't even know what's going to happen with AI, man. With how fast things are going, like literally in a weekend, new breakthroughs come out and you see different things happening. I'm not sure if you saw the video creator that OpenAI just came out with,
Yep.
but it creates videos that are so dang realistic. And that just, a month ago, we couldn't even have fathomed that. And now it's here. So a month from now, 10 years from now, what we're doing with AI, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. But I do know that personally, I'm really trying to grow my business and increase the influence that we're having. And I'd like to achieve my life goal of helping at least 100 people become millionaires.
Okay, we have the same life goal, right? Like when I started my company, when I first left Microsoft, I was like, I want to handcraft 100 millionaires, right? I've only handcrafted like 14 so far, so I still got a long way to go to handcraft 100 millionaires. And
Man.
so like that's one of the things that drives me to keep doing what I'm doing, like showcasing other people that are on the grind of like, look, it's possible to hit $1 million. Here's some of the things that you can do and leverage to get you that much closer to the goal that much quicker, right? So I think it's funny we have the one of the same goals. I want to build 100 millionaires.
100 millionaires, man. Yeah. Because I know if I make 100 millionaires, I myself am probably going to be, you know, at least seven figures and maybe even eight figures at that point. And it's all about adding value to people. The connections and the experience and the knowledge you gain from creating 100 millionaires is only going to have good, solid, positive returns for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a byproduct, right? Like I work with a lot of startups and personal brands. And of course, like when you work with a startup, like most people that are a startup or that are starting a business is because they have a day job or something that's making them miserable. And they're like, I just want to make a bunch of money doing what I love. Well, the root reason is because they really just want time freedom, right? Like they don't give a fuck about $1 million in the bank. They care about, can I do what I want to do when I want to do it without anybody telling me shit? Like, let's just be honest. That's the only reason anybody does anything, right? And so when you start working with them, it's very easy for entrepreneurs to get stuck up in shiny toys and things. Like, hell, I'm guilty. When I first left Microsoft, I was clicking on every ad that was make $10,000 a month in 4 hours or less a week. I'm like that was the hook back then, right? Nobody
Mhm.
believes that
Yeah.
hook anymore, but like that was the hook back then was like, but and so, but then as I started building businesses and started like scaling more brands, I realized like, if you put your focus on how can I change this person's life as quickly as possible, you will make more money as a byproduct than you even know what to deal with. And that's why I always say fuck money. Money's just a variable that humans created for time, right? Because
Yes.
you get your so Siri just said, I won't respond to that. She don't like it. She don't like it when I cuss her out. But it's just funny, but it takes a bit to have kind of that paradigm shift of, well, if I just focus on impacting others, I'll be a millionaire as a byproduct of that, right? Because people trust your expertise and trust what you bring to the market, and if it changes their life and their business as a byproduct, of course, they're going to come back and pay you more to keep helping change their lives and businesses. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
what is one of the coolest things you think you've created with AI so far?
Oh man. Um, well, I know that I personally have done the customer support conversational AI chatbot for not one but two worldwide companies, and due to business agreements, I can't say exactly what their names are, but one of them has 30,000 plus affiliates, and the other one has about 15,000 affiliates. Um, the one that has 15,000 affiliates is still growing. I think they're going to be at 40, 50, 60,000 affiliates by the end of the year with how fast they're growing. It's one of them is an MLM type of structure for legal services. Just based on that, you can probably guess who it is. And then the other one is an up and coming MLM for a kind of like travel services, like travel agency.
Oh yeah.
So that's really cool. I think it's really cool that I was able to work on that. And that doesn't have anything to do with this Facebook AI that we were talking about or anything like that. But having the ability and the network and being able to work on those projects for those big ass companies was really rewarding for me to finally be able to, I guess, make an impact in something that big. So yeah, I would say that's probably the coolest thing that I've done so far.
All right, so you said customer support, so it probably just handles all the incoming query from these thousands of affiliates that have issues that affiliates typically have, right?
Yes, yes.
Right,
Um,
how do I promote that? What email do I use again? Some of the
oh man,
dumbest
yeah.
questions.
How do I upgrade my subscription? Am I still going to get paid between this time and this time because I did this? And it's just like, oh man. And like both of these companies, they had like actual people sitting at a desk all day long, just going through the help tickets every single day. And there was thousands every
Yes.
single day. And I was able to do it with just AI. Like, hey, here's a conversational AI chatbot. It's trained on every bit of knowledge and information that you guys have for your businesses. And we uploaded all of the email conversations and help desk tickets into the AI. And now I mean, if there is something that it doesn't know the answer to, a human will step in and answer that question. But then we take that information, we put it right back into the AI, so it never happens again.
Right. So, I honestly think AI, like big ass teams. So when I look at companies that have a lot of affiliates, I look at their affiliates as an extension of the team, right? Like I've helped build and automate a lot of affiliate programs. And like the most successful ones are the ones where we took the time to like train the affiliates and give them all the resources they need to successfully sell the product, right? Because there's a lot of affiliate programs out there where they're like, here's your dashboard, here's some shit, good luck. Right. Oh, and there's other ones, the good ones that are like, this is how to write a good email. This is how to dial in a marketing message. This is here are some assets that you can use. Like use this graphic with this post, and here's how you reword that to where people believe they're buying it from you and not just a copy and paste from 20 other motherfuckers that just posted this thing. Right. And so you really see the power of AI and how well it can be used when you have big ass teams and use cases like that. Because now instead of one to one, like even one to many, right? Like if I were to have a Zoom room with 100 people in it, how well can I personally like cater to all 100 people, right? So even one to many has its limitations. And so, but with AI, again, AIs don't get tired, they don't take sick days, and they could talk to 1,000 people at once. And so I think that's where you see the most growth, like using your using your AI for DMs, for example, like real estate teams, right? Like I've worked with a lot of real estate teams, especially since EXP kind of follows an MLM model with their real estate agents, right? Like you can build a real estate team and then you can recruit more agents underneath you, and then you're going to make commission on everything that these agents do. But if you don't teach them how to be a good ass real estate agent, then they ain't gonna make shit anyways, and it's gonna be a waste of time. Right. And so we've had teams to where we come up with a marketing plan and a strategy and everything, and we just can't get them to create content, prospect, do outreach or anything. And it's like, what's the fucking point of this? And so then we started implementing tools to where it's like, okay, we're going to create a business page for the brokerage or the team, and then we're going to create public figure pages for every single agent, and then we're going to have AI come in and do all the outreach and content and everything on behalf of your 30 agents. And now now you can do what is it, 20 messages times 30 agents per day, because AI is not going to quit, right?
Hmm.
Versus like trying to bank on these people. Like it got so bad at one point we had to fly out to one of these offices and we're like, hey, tell all your agents to wear some nice shit today because we shooting content all day. And we had to call agents in one with a photographer. And like if you think about the expense of that, I think the overhead on that trip was like 15, 20,000 to fly a photographer in, fly all the equipment in, pay for meals, pay for
Wow.
hotels, fucking shoot content for 30 people. So we got to be there for a week. Like, well, now we could just have AI do all of it in minutes, and it costs what, a couple $100 in API credits.
Yeah, yeah. If that, there's some of the UIs out there that will just you can pay like 500 bucks a month and you got unlimited usage. So so I mean that's insane, man. That's insane. Love that
But
story about EXP Realty though, man. That's awesome.
it's man, if you name it, I've probably built it in the last 7 years. Because like I'm the guy that people are like, how the fuck do you do this? I'm like, I don't know, but I guarantee you, I know somebody that knows. We get in the rabbit hole together and we figure this shit out. Um, and but
Amazing.
I've been obsessed with technology for what's it been now? I just turned 37, so like 27 years. Yeah, I built my first computer when I was 10 years old, and then
Nice.
my dad gave me a Python book and was like, "Here, learn how to do this." And I learned Python. I was writing script kiddie program. My favorite one that I've ever wrote. It wasn't even like a virus. It didn't do anything bad to your computer, but basically I sent out an email that had an image attached, but there's a script embedded in the image, and all it did was make your mouse pointer jump. So you just couldn't click on anything because your mouse is doing this the whole time. The only way to make it stop is turn your computer off. And the only way it would start again is if you went back to that email and opened the image again, which of course people are like, I can't open this image. Every time I click on it, my mouse just starts jumping up and down. And so those were the harmless things that I was doing back when I was a hacker. But yeah, hacking is what ultimately brought me into the world that I'm in today, which is developing software and applications. And now with the power of AI, we get to see like how many spots can we put AI in here to relieve the human.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love hearing that you were doing the hacking thing as well, man. We got a lot in common.
It's kind of funny, everything happens for a reason. I have no idea why your AI targeted me that day, but it was for a good reason apparently. And so
Absolutely.
what
Absolutely.
what's it look like for you once you do craft that 100 millionaires? Are you just gonna shut down everything and go live on an island somewhere?
Well, I mean, for those that are watching this video, I already kind of live right next to a beach that looks like my background. I live out in Cancun, Mexico, so I won't need to retire and seclude myself to a beach. But I think after I make 100 millionaires, man, I think it's just going to be prioritizing. I still want to create an impact in the world even after I do that. But I like to follow the 80/20 rule, which is going to be, instead of spending 80% of my time trying to impact the world and 20% of my time with my family, it's going to be like 80 to 90% of my time with my family me. And then, maybe 1, 2, or 4 weeks out of the year, I go and I do some stuff to impact the world. Maybe whether it's speaking gigs or teaching or something. That's what the plan would be. I would still want to be relevant. I'm a worker bee at heart, so I'm always going to want to be doing something, even when I'm doing nothing.
Okay, I feel it. Like a lot of people ask me the same thing because I make it very well known. Like, hey, I'm only building a development company to exit it. I'm gonna exit this company at 9 figures one day. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I'm only here for that purpose. Right? I don't know why I got these gifts, but because I grew up on a farm in Alabama, and so I'm just trying to get back to the farm as quickly as possible. And so I'm like, apparently these are the gifts I have to get back to the farm. My big dumbass audacious goal is sell this company, buy a city, and then bring automation and mix it with farming. Right? Like think of old world trades with new world technology.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely. Absolutely.
and here in Oregon, you can buy a whole ass city. And so, because like there's a lot of old abandoned like mining towns and stuff from back in the
Holy
day.
crap.
And so you can buy an entire city with like a main street and everything with all the dilapidated buildings and register the city. You just have to, there's a handful of like things you have to do, like establish a post office, have emergency services, a couple, like a courthouse. You have to have a couple of things to make it a city, but that's the plan. That's the big dumbass goal. And so uh, I've been working on something called Farm in a Box, which is like automated farming. And it's like,
Really?
it's gonna be completely modular. And it's like, what type of farm do you want? You want to raise goats? You want to have an all vegetable farm? You want it run by wind power, solar power, water, hydropower? Like, how do you want it? And you basically build this modular farm. And then in real life, we're gonna take everything that you built on our website, put it in a shipping container, send it to you with the blueprints and say, here, you can build it yourself, or we have these connections that can come out and build it for you. And then you
Oh my
basically
God.
unload the shipping container, build your farm, and then you use the shipping container as your domicile when you're done. And then we'll be taking a percentage of those efforts and just donating farms in a box to different countries around the world that can use it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. We definitely got to keep in touch, man, because I would love to have my own city for one, and two, have it be self-sustaining with farm that I don't have to do the work on because um, I I'm no stranger to hard work being in the military and everything, but my God, I don't want to be out in a farm all day doing that shit.
Well, get robots to do a lot of it, and then you just get to you get to monitor the robots, right? And so that's the idea. And in conjunction with that, I'll be building an MMO RPG. It's built on the blockchain with my own coin. And so basically
Nice.
we'll take the real city that's in real life and like transposing it into this game to where basically whatever you want us to build in real life, you can build it in the game and send it to us. And it's all built on the blockchain. And so because we'll have parcels of land where you can like, I want to buy this parcel, and then you can build it digitally, send it to us, and have our robots build it, and then you just come home when you're ready.
Wow.
It's so I mean, it is
Hell
a
yeah,
big,
man.
dumb, audacious goal that's leveraging
Let's do it.
technology, but it's like once I create 100 millionaires, that's the plan. It's like we're gonna go buy a city, and then yeah, I'm not gonna go retire to an island. I'll keep creating, but you know, now I get to
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on a
Do your
farm.
things, do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. Awesome. Awesome.
And so,
Well,
well, how do people get in touch with you? How do they keep up with you for people that want to watch you grind to hit that multi-million-dollar mark?
Facebook is going to be the best way. That's my most active social media that I'm on. I have a couple websites that I can send to you, and you can share it with them in this podcast or in wherever you post this at. That's another way to get a hold of me. But Facebook is going to be the best way. It's facebook.com/, the real Brandon Collins. And yeah, go ahead and follow me. And I constantly putting out um, tips and tricks with AI, new developments with AI, different projects that I'm working on, sometimes specials and discounts and promos and stuff like that for current projects as well. So please feel free to go and reach out to me.
So, do you have any departing words of wisdom or anything for the audience before we get out of here?
Departing words of wisdom. Um, I would say that the people that to all the people that aren't necessarily on board with AI, the people that sold horses weren't on board with the automobile. The people who the people who sold radios weren't on board with the TV, and it's just AI is here and AI is here to stay. So if you're not on board with AI, you're probably going to be left behind by the people that are. Take a class, reach out to people, network, and get in front of people that are experts in AI and start using it. You can achieve your goals too, probably faster using AI.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, guys, keep in mind that even though it might feel saturated sometimes, AI is still very new. Right? This is like the Bitcoin era. Don't get caught 10 years from now where you're like, fuck, I wish I bought some coins. And so,
Yes, yes. Learn now. Learn now. I mean, even though it's only been around for a couple of years, we still got a lot of time left. You said you're 37. I'm in my early 30s. I can only imagine how it's going to be in the next decade. So we still
yeah,
got
my
time.
my sons are gonna be burying me with this shit in 10 years. I can only
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So
fuck it.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me on here, Marv. We'll have to keep in touch. I'm really excited to see how things go for you as well.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been another spotlight session on the Memory Lane podcast where we share entrepreneurs' story and their grind on their way to a seven-figure company. Thanks again, Brandon, for being part of it. You guys have a good one. One love.